First, it was Von Miller. Now, Khalil Shakir ends up missing Wednesday's practice with an ankle injury, likely going to be out for this game. Also missing practice on Wednesday was Dion Dawkins with a hamstring, defensive tackle Austin Johnson, and also safety Taylor Rapp with a concussion. We all know that Terrell Bernard has been injured, but he was a limited participant in practice, and cornerback Taron Johnson was a limited participant in practice with his forearm, but both kind of signaling that they all could be out versus the Houston Texans. We can see that Khalil Shakir leads the Buffalo Bills in total receiving yards, and what this is ultimately going to do, it's going to open the door for this everybody eats offense. More are going to be spread around to other people like Curtis Samuel. A lot of people wanting to see more from Curtis Samuel this week. And I really think Joe Brady's offense, they're going to stick to this all year long. They're not going to feed a particular person or go into a game thinking to feed a particular person. They are literally going to adjust on the fly as to what defenses are doing to us, whether they're taking away this person. Joe Brady has an answer to no matter what it is, but we also have to have the players there in order to beat it. And now that we're without Khalil Shakir, I think the Buffalo Bills are going to have to find other ways to beat these defenses. And I think one of those players is Curtis Samuel. The other player is Keon Coleman. And I think Curtis Samuel, Keon Coleman could very well see an uptick in production this upcoming week versus the Houston Texans. We cannot forget about MVS. We can't forget about Mac Hollins or Dalton Kincaid, Dawson Knox trying to get involved this game too as well. But the fact of the matter is Khalil Shakir does lead the Buffalo Bills in total receiving yards at 230, and he could very well miss this game versus Houston. So statistically speaking, Keon Coleman is actually second in receiving yards on wide receivers with 126, one touchdown. Keon Coleman, Dalton Kincaid, we're going to see a little uptick in their production. Curtis Samuel down there with only 8 receptions for 48 yards. Still building that continuity with Josh Allen, still progressing, and we all know all these new faces to the Buffalo Bills in 2024 are going to continue to progress and get better as the season progresses. Now, defensively, knowing that we could very well be without Taylor Rapp or without Terrell Bernard, Taron Johnson, Bills are really digging into the depth of this defense. We could see here that Cam Lewis, Balin Spector, doing some amazing things. Dorian Williams leads the Bills in total tackles, but the big loss is Von Miller. So seeing Von Miller all the way here, the total amount of sacks for Von Miller at 3. You can see the total sacks for Greg Rousseau at 3. So Von Miller at 3, Greg Rousseau at 3 total sacks. Who's going to make up for this production? And I said in my previous video, Von Miller has been used on a rotational basis. We are rotating him in and out of the lineup. It's not like we're having him with a crazy snap count. Like, we're bringing in Von Miller during clutch moments of the game, and he is coming in clutch and closing things out and ending drives. So who's going to make up for that production? And it really comes from the rest of this defensive line. Like a Javon Sullivan, right? He has 1 sack on the season, but pretty much everyone else on this defensive line hasn't done much. Juwan Smoot, no sacks. We need to make up for it. Ed Oliver, only 1 sack so far. AJ Epinesa, only 1 sack so far. Casey Toohill, only 1 sack. We're entering the 5th game of the season here. Bills are 3-1. You know, we got to get more sacks, more production out of the rest of this defensive line. And really I want to see more from this defensive line going against CJ Stroud with not a lot of experience. It's still developing as a quarterback. I mean, this is a good opportunity for the Buffalo Bills to get after CJ Stroud and start getting some sacks. Clearly a hole that we're going to be missing Khalil Shakir here, but we have other people on this team that really need to step up, and in a weird way, it could be good for the Buffalo Bills to create those memorable moments on the football field, to develop the other players in the background here. You know, Josh Allen having so much continuity with Khalil Shakir. Maybe he's just so familiar with Khalil Shakir, he's been feeding him the football. Although everyone does eat in this offense, the ball's going to go where the opening actually is. But I think when the play breaks down, Josh Allen could be looking at Shakir just because of the continuity and just being familiar and the trust factor when the play breaks down. My thought here is I like dictating to defenses. I don't necessarily like opening the door right from the start of the game and allowing defenses to dictate to us. So Joe Brady and the Buffalo Bills are pretty much inviting defenses to beat us how they want to beat us or play us how they want to play us. And we're betting on ourselves to have additional weapons to beat it, whether it's schematically, whether it's just on a matchup basis and taking advantage of those matchups. So it's a fine line, and I think it is somewhat of a balancing act. You know, going from Stefon Diggs, maybe force-feeding Stefon Diggs, maybe having Stefon Diggs be number one in the progression of things and not necessarily adjusting based on what the defense is doing. So I think there is somewhat of a fine line. I think at times, I don't want to say you have to force feed someone, but I think there is this delicate balancing act between both, it being that everyone eats and also understanding who your best players are and making sure that you're getting them involved in advantageous situations during the game. So I think this is something that the Buffalo Bills will benefit from, not having Khalil Shakir out there. I think maybe when the play breaks down, Josh Allen, he's going to have to start finding his other targets and start trusting his other weapons and new faces like Matt Collins, MVS, Keon Coleman, Dion Dawkins being out, potentially questionable for this game is definitely a big-time loss. Ryan Van DeMar could come in and help supplement that loss for the Buffalo Bills. I mean, Gamble is on IR, so Tommy Doyle is hurt too, so it's likely going to be Ryan Van DeMar coming in for the Buffalo Bills at left tackle. The Bills did just bring in a 6'6", 300-plus pound Zion Long, poached him from the Atlanta Falcons, probably because of the injury to Austin Johnson here. I think he could definitely come in. Maybe he sees the field, but he's huge. He's a run stuffer. He's a run blocker. He is like a Daquan Jones body type. When you look at DeJuan Carter and Ed Oliver, they're a little bit smaller in size, I would say, even Austin Johnson. So Zion Long bringing in a much-needed skill set and body type to this defensive tackle group. But what are your thoughts about all of these injuries piling up for the Buffalo Bills? Do you think we're going to be just fine going against the Houston Texans? How do you think this is going to pan out? I think the Buffalo Bills clearly have some extra trauma in here. Jerry Hughes, Stefon Diggs, all these other players going to the Houston Texans. But really, I believe in Brandon Beane. I believe in Sean McDermott. I believe in the vision and path of the 2024 Buffalo Bills. I believe in Joe Brady, and I believe in Bobby Babich. This thing is just kicking off and getting started, and I know the Buffalo Bills are going to be just fine without these injuries. If anything, it's so early in the year. We're 3-1. We're developing the depth on this team. All the players are not season-ending injuries. They're all eventually going to be coming back for the Buffalo Bills, which is absolutely tremendous. And God forbid, if another injury goes down, we're developing the depth of this team for some big-time things come playoffs and come this Super Bowl run. But I appreciate you guys all so much. Make sure you hit like, subscribe for future content. That's how you're going to support me and my efforts for keeping this channel alive. Also, check the links down below in the description. You can get $20 off SeatGeek using promo code BNC. Also, I've discounted the BNC chicken wing merch, where I'm not even making any money on it, just trying to get the merch out there. But sizes small through 5XL, it's $19.99 with free shipping, different colors. And you guys can check out Course Careers. That's personally how I landed my full-time, fully remote job in 2024. Appreciate you. Hit like, subscribe, and go Bills.